Hi, welcome back to the Trust Your Worth podcast, the podcast that helps you tap in to the power of knowing your worth. My name is Brittany, and thank you so much for being with me today. Thanks for listening. How are you? How's it going? What's new? What's going on with life? I have a different mic because my thumb really hurts to hold things, and it was a tough day at work, so I'm going with the stand today. So if it sounds a little different, that is why. Last week I talked about dealing with burnout. So if you feel like you are struggling with that, check out last week's episode, which is season 3, episode 10. And today we're talking about shifting your perspective and questions you can ask yourself in order to change the way you're thinking a little bit to maybe get out of a rut. So if you're feeling stuck, then this might be the episode for you. So let's get into it. So the reason I thought about doing this episode is because I came across this wonderful couple named Hannah and Alex, and they went to an Oilers game. That was the first time ever. They're from the UK, and they just wanted to experience my Edmonton Oilers. So I was so excited because they had such a great time. And then I was looking through, and they're doing their dream trip through Western Canada. They're kind of starting in Calgary and then going to Vancouver. And so this is what inspired me when they saw the Rockies for the first time, because I grew up here. I live in Edmonton, but I've been to Calgary and Banff many times throughout my whole life. So the mountains are just a normal thing to me. And so they're driving out of Calgary to start heading to the Banff area, and they're literally gobsmacked. They're speechless, and they start getting emotional. They start tearing up because they have never seen these mountains, and they're just the most beautiful thing they've ever seen. And it changed my perspective because growing up, I did not like Calgary. I hated going there. And my Edmonton blood runs deep. I do not like the Flames, still don't. But there is that rivalry, right? And in my mind, Calgary was just not it. It wasn't the city. But how close it is to the Rockies and how actually close it is to me, really changed my perspective and actually made me feel so grateful to be able to experience the beauties that nature has given us, which are the Rocky Mountains. And I just literally went on a trip 2 weeks before them to Banff. So they're showing their dream trip, and I was I was just there. I rode the Banff gondola for the first time, and that was incredible. I was on the top of a mountain because they take you up there and then you can hike up to the very summit of it. And I'm this is one of the coolest things I've ever done, and I've never done it before. And that was perspective changing. But growing up, I was never really excited to oh yeah, let's go to Banff. And in my head, I'm I'm not gonna hike a mountain. As you know, if you listen to me, I'm not into hiking. I really did not want to hike a mountain. That has since changed. I've yet to hike a mountain, but I am in training currently to hike a mountain, preferably in New Zealand. But I'll probably, do some sort of hike in Banff in the summer just to see where my training is at, because it has begun. I've got my hiking shoes. I'm walking every day. I'm trying to up the amount that I'm walking. And then, I'm Stairmaster training, all the things. But Hannah and Alex, I'm going to link their video below. Please check it out. Just their reaction to something that is almost forgettable to me because I'm so close to it. I'm oh my gosh, wow, I really am so grateful that I live here. And I love that this perspective changed when I recognized that some people don't ever get to see these beautiful mountains that I get to see. And what a blessing that is to my life. And I'm just so happy for them that they literally got to live their dream trip. So I'm grateful for the perspective shift. So it's so interesting how looking through someone else's eyes can help us recognize that, like, hey, maybe we just needed a perspective change to help us recognize how wonderful we have it, how grateful we can be for the things that we've actually done, and also maybe to get through like a hard time if you're like feeling stuck. So let's talk a little bit about that. Okay, and when we're talking about perspective, I'm meaning like a specific point of view or attitude or way of interpreting things. You're going to have a unique perspective to you because of your personal experiences. So I think I've talked about this before, but for example, if we are looking at an apple and I have blue glasses on and you have clear glasses on, I'm going to look at that apple and say, that's a purple apple. And you're going to be like, that's a red apple. Like, what are you talking about? But because I have my blue glasses on, I have a different perspective. And sometimes if it's a sad perspective, we can get stuck into a perspective that is not helping us. So that is what this episode is for when you are struggling to get out of your head and shift maybe what you're thinking. Like you're looking at a problem and you're coming up with the same solution every time. That's not working. So you're trying to figure something else out. Yeah, let me talk about this article by Margarita Tartovsky, who has the coolest name. I love it. Thank you, Margarita, for your wonderful article. I will link it in the show notes. So it is called The Best Questions to Ask Yourself to Shift Your Perspective. So let's get into some of her ideas that will help us through this episode. So, quote, our perspective affects our feelings, and these feelings affect our behavior. This also means that if you change your perspective, you'll change your feelings, and then you'll change your behavior for the better. I love that. So that's why it's important to be able to change your perspective because it can change your behavior for the better. She goes on to say, quote, we adopt all kinds of unhelpful perspectives that keep us stuck. We think we don't have control over our circumstances and our lives, and we think our ability to grow and accomplish certain goals is limited, when it actually isn't. If you think there are limits, the limits will present themselves. She gives a couple examples of limiting perspectives. There's one we think of every day. I literally thought of it today too. There's not enough time. There's never enough time. I'm going to be late. Today is going to be awful. So you wake up a little late and you're like, oh my days, this is going to be a tough one to get through. And I'm already starting in a way that has me rushed and stressed. And then if I focus on this, it's going to make me inefficient throughout the day. If I'm like, oh, I had the worst morning. And then I just, milk that awful morning I had and just let that ruin the whole day. Or I'm just like, oh, I'm so effing tired. Like, to get through this day and talk to people. Like, blah, blah, blah. Whereas if I recognize and accept, hey, that was a rough morning, but we don't have to have a rough rest of our day. So I'm going to ground myself in a moment of breakfast that I made that's yummy and scrumptious, my Coke Zero from a caffeine, and then I'm just going to have a little dance party to shake off this negative morning, head on to work after listening to one of my favorite songs, and in a better mood to get excited to go to work and do what I have to do. So you see, at any point in the day, we can make the choice to shift our perspective. And one of the examples she gives is, you've dated 10 men and haven't found a great fit. So you start to believe that you'll never find a solid relationship. Oh, that can be so discouraging, especially in dating. You're like, is the problem me? No, don't lower your standards, please. There's a reason you should be picky. And it's because you want to be happy within your partnership, relationship, whatever you form in the near future. But just because you've dated men and haven't yet found a great fit does not mean you will not. It just means that those were 10 wrong people. You will find the one, I promise. So the awesome thing about perspectives is that they aren't permanent. And as I said in the example before, we can change at any moment. It just takes one decision to start to change our perspectives. So here are some of the questions that we can ask ourselves that will help us to change our perspective. Okay, ask yourself, what do I want? How do I feel? Why is this important? Well, because many people are so involved in the needs of others that you are people-pleasing your way into these perspectives and you've put your desires to the back burner. So if you feel like a little stuck, take a minute to recognize, hey, is this what I want for my life? Like, are other people's opinions and fear of what people are thinking of me keeping me in this perspective? So ask yourself how you're really feeling about it. Okay, next question. What has this perspective cost me? What have I missed out on because of this perspective? This is going to root out your negative ideas. So if you feel like you are clinging to negative limiting perspectives that have led you to decline positive opportunities, then maybe it's time for you to let go of that perspective. For example, I hated hiking. I hate the idea of it. It sounds like a horrible time. But if I'm being realistic about this idea, this perspective that I have on hiking, it has shifted because I believe more in my ability to be able to do a hike. And I recognize that what was preventing me was my fear that my body could not physically do it. And honestly, right now, if I tried to hike a mountain right now, I wouldn't be able to do it. I'm still somewhat injured. In many places, I got me old bones, and physically, like cardio wise, there's no way I'd get up there. But I am taking the steps to make my body ready to be able to complete that skill of hiking a mountain. And I'm training. So I have more confidence, and the prospect of hiking a mountain is no longer scary to me. It seems doable, just not at this exact point in time. But I'm grateful that my perspective has shifted. And I know I've missed out on some amazing views because I haven't gone on some amazing hikes. So I'm excited for that to change. So that is just an example. Okay, next question. If you're feeling stuck, if I were twice as strong and twice as confident, what decision would I make? Very interesting. If fear is clouding your judgment, then this question is going to help you recognize what the fear is. Because if you literally had the tools and the strength to be able to make a certain decision, then would it change your decision that you've already made or are trying to make? So for me, for sticking with the climbing the mountain thing, if I were twice as strong and twice as confident, 100% I would go on a hike. Yes, that doesn't change my perspective because I've already changed it. But if I hadn't, then I would have to think about, like, what is the fear that is keeping me from hiking this mountain, which I discovered is just like, I physically can't do it yet. The next question is such a great one, and I love it. And it is, what am I grateful for in this moment? I love this question because the great thing about gratitude is that it moves us from the scarcity mindset over to the abundance mindset. So immediately you have to think about, like, scarcity is like, I have nothing. There's not enough for anything to go around. Like, why is this? Can you feel the negative energy that comes from those types of ideas and thinkings when things are scarce? Like, we're not sharing, we're not open, and it keeps us stuck, really. But when we're talking about abundance, I have such an abundance of water in my home, and I'm grateful for that. I have such an abundance of love in my home. Wow, I'm gonna get emotional. I have such an abundance of cats in my home. I have 2 cats, and I feel their love, and I feel like when people come to my home, there is an abundance of love because the people that come here, I hope that they feel loved and welcomed into my home. There is an abundance. I'm so grateful for my ability to move my body. As I talked about in another episode, I'm so grateful for flushing toilets. Oh my days, guys, we have so much to be grateful for. Like, I can't imagine my life without modern plumbing. Like, we even think like 100 years is 1926. and the difference in technology and how different our lives are. Like, some people weren't able to literally have a warm bath or like take a shower or have running water. Like, those were not things, and I'm grateful that they are things in my life that I don't have to worry about. I just get to turn on a tap and there's the beautiful water. So, wow, there are so many things we can be grateful for. So before I get on a rant about gratitude, if you're feeling stuck, start with what are you grateful for in that moment, and recognize like your progress and all the things that you do have and the great things that you have already going for you. And maybe you'll be able to find some things like, hey, I'm really grateful for this skill. Can I use it to make this decision that I have to make? So turn that mind from scarcity to abundance with gratitude. Okay, next question. Does this perspective belong to someone else, or do I want to adopt it myself? So, for example, we often internalize our parents' perspective about ourselves. So ideas that we grew up of thinking, like if your parents told you, you are kind, you are smart, you are important, then you are probably going to know those things about yourself. They're like, hey, I'm kind, I'm smart, and I'm important. But when it comes to like other decisions, especially when it comes to maybe like a career choice, and maybe your parents are like, you're going to be a doctor and you're going to do this, and they've thrown it at you your whole life, and you love doing comedy. And you don't know how to tell them, like, mom and dad, sorry, I want to do comedy. So recognizing what is the best choice for yourself, and recognize if the perspective belongs to you or does it belong to someone else. So it's important to know where the idea is coming from and make sure that it comes from you when you're making your decision to change your perspective or not. Another question, what would my mentor do or hero? So we have examples all around us. I have given examples in movies of people who go through birth journeys where you get to see someone go from point A to point B. So if you have a mentor in your life, like, what did they do in your situation? 100% someone has been in your situation before. So you can probably just type in a situation and be like, how do you get through this? Like, what did you do to overcome this obstacle? Like, there are people out there you can ask. Again, in a career, especially in your industry, like, go ask around and see what decisions they made if you are needing to get out of the perspective shift. Okay, next, what can I learn from this? So many times when we are stuck, and I've found this in my life, it's because I've had to learn a lesson of some sort. I know, lessons. But it's because I needed to change. There was a skill I needed in order to get to the next level. So, for example, I am trying to start this business of my podcast. I have the podcast. That was step one. I've never started a business before. I don't know what the heck I'm doing, but I figured out how to get a business license, and I now currently have that license, and I am currently working on my online store because I want to be legal in all aspects. I did not know I needed that skill, and it's something I'm learning, and I'm sure there will be many things more that I need to learn throughout this journey. But again, I've had to learn things in order to push me to the next level. And I'm so excited because I'm just expanding this opportunity that I've made for myself, and I'm creating the life that I want just by going out there and trying. So sometimes you just have to ask yourself, what is the lesson I need to learn here? And hopefully that will help you to recognize, like, oh, it's this. And then you can move on to your next decision, your next choice, your next perspective. Okay, and then the last one, is this perspective in alignment with what I want in my life? And I feel like that is so important. Like, you need to be at peace with your perspective, whether it's keeping the same one that you have or changing to a new one, especially in changing things, because I know change is hard. Even though it's like we do it every day. I'm changing. I'm different than what I was yesterday. When I think of how different I am now and how many perspectives have shifted, especially since COVID was kind of the catalyst to like my new life that I'm heading towards, And that was a huge change and a huge shift in my whole life. Like my whole like spiritual and mental like values changed. And that was so hard. And even now sometimes I still struggle with like making decisions or like seeing different people's perspectives and being like, is that a perspective that I want to adopt? Or like making choices can be so hard, but you can do it. You have all the tools you need. You have everything you need. You always have to be able to make the decisions that are going to be best for you and the best for the life, the beautiful, gorgeous, amazing life that you want to create. It may take time and it may take effort, but I promise you it's going to be worth all of that. Like I said, it's like climbing a mountain. It's a lot of hard work, and then you get to the top and you're like, oh, the view. Look at the view. Look at the magical view that I never knew I was going to have if I didn't go through all this hard stuff to get to the top of this mountain, to see this beautiful sunset on this beautiful mountain. Oh, what a new perspective once you get through the hard stuff. So hang in there if you're struggling. I hope this helps you make whatever decision you need to make, or helps you to maybe take the time to really think about others' perspectives and if they're important to you and if you want to adopt them and all that. Okay, I'm going to do 2 worth works with this week. So the first one is, if you don't have a lot of time, and it's a journal exercise, and that is to get into the mindset of abundance by using gratitude. So write down 5 things that you're grateful for. 5 things. So 2 of them physical, and then 3 attributes of yourself that you have, that you love, that you are grateful that you have. So whether that be like, I am grateful that I am a good friend, or I am grateful that I am kind. So some sort of character attribute that you are grateful that you have. And then physical things you're grateful for. So like toilets for me. I'm so grateful for toilets. Okay, and that is worth work number 1. Worth work number 2 is to do something that you have taken for granted. So maybe that's you haven't played volleyball in forever, so you go just play a pickup game of volleyball and remember how much you love it and how awesome it is to have it in your life. Or maybe you haven't been to Banff in forever. You haven't seen the mountains that are so close to you, Edmontonians, Calgary peeps. Just enjoy those mountains in your hometown. Just like if you're feeling like, oh, my hometown has nothing cool. No, 100% you can find something cool. I live on the south side, and I know North Edmonton, I know you guys have all of the good food. I have to drive so freaking far for my good eats. They're all on the north side. But yeah, you can find something totally new to help you like change your perspective on where you're living and how awesome it could actually be. Whether it's like a cool new restaurant or a cool new bookstore or like a cool new club that your city has, like join it. Like find something that you've taken for granted around you, and you're just going to enjoy that again and change your perspective on like, hey, nah, I do really have it good living here. Okay, so have so much fun. Please, I would love to hear about your work. I'm always happy to listen. So you can find me on trustyourworth.com or on Instagram and TikTok at Trust Your Worth Podcast. I love you so much. And if no one has told you today, I am grateful for you. Thank you so much for listening. And I 100% know that there are so many people who are grateful that you are in their life. Okay? And don't forget to trust your worth. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great day. Love you. Bye. Bye.